Thank you, Chloe. I'd like to present our next speaker, Alexis Goodwin, from Southern Arkansas University, reading her paper, An Opportunity Missed.
I just want to let you guys know that this is prose that's meant for a YA audience. I know the first two were research papers, but this one's creative fiction. Okay. An opportunity missed. There was no reason for Danny to think today wouldn't be like any other day. It started like all her others do. She woke up to her alarm blaring for the third time that morning, telling her she was going to be late if she turned it off again. "Danielle Shea, drag your hind tail out of bed before you're late," she heard her dad yell up the stairs. This was the typical routine in the Miller household. It was, of course, her dad that had to rush her because her mom was just getting out of bed too. Danny took after her mother in the sense that she was rarely on time for anything. She took after her mother in a lot of ways. The way she poured her tea, folded her towels, washed the dishes. There were lots of things she didn't get from her mother too, though. The texture of her hair, her height, her smile. These are things Danny inherited from her biological mother. It never made any difference to her that Donna wasn't her birth mother, and she would spend her whole life correcting people when they asked if she knew her real mom. Donna was her real mom. Her birth mother was the one who brought her into the world, not the one who taught her how to live in it. Her mom was the one who taught her how to do that. She knew who she was raised to be. So why was it that she felt like she didn't know who she actually was? Danny jolted upright. Crap, crap, crap. She told herself she wouldn't snooze her alarm tomorrow, a promise she knew she couldn't keep. Jumping out of bed, she quickly put together an outfit that barely matched and flung her backpack on, knocking a cup of pencils from her desk in her scramble out of the bedroom. As she ran down the stairs, shoes still untied, she heard her dad again. "Danny!" I'm up. "Birthday breakfast," her dad said as he gestured towards the table, an array of jam and toast, eggs, fruit, and bacon covering the cloth on top. Danny sat down next to her dad long enough to tie her shoes and take a couple of bites of the toast that he had already covered in jam for her. "Thanks, Dad. See you after school," she said as she dropped a kiss on top of his head. "Slow down before you break something," she heard him call after her. "I love you," she yelled on her way out the door. The bus had been stopped in front of her house for longer than it was supposed to wait, a benefit of living in a small town. "You gonna be on time tomorrow, Danny?" Mrs. Galloway asked her as she climbed up the steps. "Yes, ma'am, promise." Danny held out her pinky. "Now, don't go making promises you can't keep," the bus driver laughed and waved Danny off. "Go on now, sit down before we're all late." "Yes, ma'am," Danny grinned. At the back of the bus, Rachel waited for her. When she saw Danny, she took out her headphones and stood up so Danny could sit by the window. "Happy birthday," Rachel said, giving Danny a half hug, their backpacks getting in the way. When Rachel sat back down, she turned towards Danny, anticipation all over her face. "So, did you find them yet?" Danny's smile faltered a little. "No, not yet," she started. "I don't know, Rach, maybe it's best if I don't meet them." No way you're giving up that easily." "I'm not giving up, just changing my mind. I don't know. My parents would probably be devastated." "No, they would not. You're overthinking it." There was a moment of silence between the girls before Rachel continued. "What if there's some genetic illness you need to know about?" Danny rolled her eyes. "Really? Could you just drop it, please?" "Okay, I'm sorry." Rachel let up, her hands up in a defensive position. She put her headphones back in, but didn't play any music. Danny looked out the window and wondered if the life she could have had with her birth parents was an opportunity missed, and then she scolded herself for thinking it. The rest of the bus ride was spent in silence, and the second they stopped at the school, Rachel grabbed her bags and quickly made her way off. As Danny watched her best friend practically run from her, she hung her head in her hands and rubbed her eyes, not knowing what to do. As she sat down for class, Danny wrote out her to-do list for the week. 1. Finish chem practice test. 2. Start writing script for playwriting. 3. Tell mom we need more milk. 4. Call adoption agency for more information. Strike through. 4. Ask adoption agency to withdraw request for connection. When she had asked the adoption agency if she could access her birth records last week, they told her she had to be 18, so she just asked them to release her information into the database on her 18th birthday. today. There was no way she could have anticipated her birth mother remembering, no, celebrating her birthday every year. No way she could have known that on the morning of her 18th birthday, her birth mother would know she was of age and contact the adoption agency in the hopes that Danny had done the same. No way she could have guessed who would be standing in the office waiting for her when Principal Freeman called her out of the last period of the day. You're joking. Danny gaped at the woman blankly. She had the same jet black hair as Danny and the same bright blue eyes that turned a murky gray in low light. Not in the slightest, Danielle. The woman smiled at her and stretched out her arms as if she wanted a hug. It's just Danny. She peered at the woman and stuck out her hand for a handshake. She didn't like the way this woman had used her full name, something only her parents did. Of course, I'm sorry. It's nice to meet you, Danny. The woman shook Danny's hand and smiled awkwardly this time. I'm Sarah. Danny didn't know how to feel in that moment. Every question she had ever had about herself ran through her head at the same time. But what she said was, how'd you know I go to school here? You're pretty active on social media. It wasn't hard to find you. I'm sorry for imposing, but I just wanted to see you in person. Danny's face reddened at the thought of her mother scrolling through her page. She made a mental note to private her account tonight. So, I guess you live around here? About an hour north of here, up in Thibodaux. Wow, that's really close. She'd been there before. When Danny thought about her birth parents, she always assumed they live in some far-off place across the country. She never dreamed they could be a short car ride away. I have so many questions. I wouldn't have expected any less. Would you like to go somewhere and talk? It's a beautiful day outside. Okay. How about a walk in the park? Danny suggested. But I have to be home by 5. My parents are cooking my favorite for supper tonight. Sure, home by 5. Got it, Sarah replied. Oh, and happy birthday, by the way. She smiled. Thanks. Danny hesitated. I'm not sure what to call you. Just Sarah. I can't imagine you'd be comfortable calling me Mom. You've got one of those already. On their way to the park, Sarah said, if it's okay with you, I'd like to meet your parents too. Thank them for raising such a beautiful daughter. Danny blushed at this, half because of the compliment, half because she didn't want her parents finding out she had gone looking for her birth parents in the first place, much less that she had met her biological mother. She fidgeted with her seatbelt. I kind of didn't tell them I released my information. I'm not sure I want them to know. Oh, I understand. Just you and I for now, then. Well, I wouldn't be opposed to meeting my father, if you're still in contact with him. Sarah pulled into a parking spot and sighed, turning towards Danny. I'm sorry, honey. I haven't seen him in 17 years. Oh. Danny looked down at her hands in her lap and started picking at her fingernails. When I told him I was pregnant, he left. I don't think he would have been a good father, but I do know that he was a kind man. He was just scared. We were so young. So, you're not even mad at him? How? He left you to raise a kid alone. Oh, I was mad at the time, heartbroken and angry. But my pregnancy progressed, and I decided to give you up for adoption. I realized that him leaving made me strong. I never would have considered giving you up if he had stayed, but me keeping you wouldn't have been a fair life for you. She shook her head. I knew you needed stability that I couldn't offer. Both of them were silent for a moment. What's his name? Danny asked. Daniel. Danny's heart swelled at this. By some stroke of fate, she had been given a name akin to her biological father's. That's cool. It matches mine. That was my first thought when I learned your parents named you Danielle. A pause. What were you going to name me? Stacy Michelle, Sarah smiled. They were walking through the park now, the wind blowing softly as the sun sank below the horizon. They both heard a truck slowly pull up beside them and then watched as the driver rolled down the window. What on earth are you doing, and why haven't you answered your mama's calls, Danny? They're worried sick about you, the sheriff asked. What? She hasn't. Danny patted her back pocket to pull out her phone, but it wasn't there. She turned to Sarah. Oh my God, I left my phone in your car. Danny looked at her watch and realized it was 5:30. Would you mind taking me home? I'm so sorry. As they got in the car, Danny called her mom. I'm so sorry, Mom. I didn't have my phone on me, and we were walking through the park. Who's we? At this question, Danny's heartbeat slowed down a little. She could tell her mom wasn't mad. Well, Danny hesitated. It was me and... She looked over at her biological mother, who looked back at her and gave her a soft smile. It's actually someone I want you to meet. At this, Sarah beamed at her and mouthed, "Are you sure?" Danny continued to talk to her mom on the phone. "We'll be there in just a sec." Then pointing, she said to Sarah, "Oh, take this left." She focused her attention back on her mom and said, "Okay, we're pulling down our road. Love you." She hung up the phone. When they walked into the house, Danny could tell her mom knew who Sarah was immediately. "Before you say anything, let me explain, please." Her mom crossed her arms and raised an eyebrow at her. "Go ahead." "Huh," Danny half laughed. "I didn't think I'd get past the let me explain part." She gave her mom and dad a half smile and shrugged as if to say, "Whoops." "Mom, Dad, this is Sarah, my biological mother." Sarah stepped forward and extended her hand. "I should really be the one explaining. I found Danny this morning through the adoption agency and showed up to meet her without any warning. I was just so excited, to finally see the child I gave birth to all those years ago." Danny's mom took Sarah's hand and shook it. "Sarah, it's great to finally meet you. You should stay for Danny's birthday dinner. I'm sure she has lots of questions. And I made pie." She winked at Sarah. "Oh, and Danny, just for the record, we've known for a while now that you wanted to meet your birth parents." "What? How? I never even said anything about it to you." "You didn't have to. You looked up how to find your birth parents on your dad's computer." Her mom laughed and pulled Danny in for a hug as her face warmed with embarrassment. "We're not mad, darling," her dad added. "We figured you'd want to meet them eventually. We just didn't know you'd be so innovative about it." He chuckled the way he always did when he was teasing her. Of course, it would be cool to get to know her birth mom. Sarah could answer questions like, "Is our entire family horrible singers, or is that just me? And are there any hereditary diseases I should know about?" She realized now, though, that only her mom could answer questions like, "What was that seasoning you put on the mashed potatoes last Christmas? And how do I know who I'm meant to be?" Danny thought back to that morning and how her dad had called her name to get her out of bed. Danielle Shea. She decided she knew now that she ended up exactly where she was meant to be. Stacy Michelle just didn't have the same ring to it. Thank you.